Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the AEW Dynamite review. Dynamite tonight was from the Colonial Life Arena in Columbia, South Carolina. And Dynamite tonight, it was a good show. Very enjoyable show Dynamite was tonight. We had CM Punk versus Max Caster of the Acclaimed. We had Moxley. Jon Moxley was in action, and he took on Jay Lethal. We had Austin and Colton, the Gunn Club, versus FTR, Dax Harwood, and Cash Wheeler. We had Bryan Danielson. He ended up taking on Wheeler Yuta. We had the first qualifying match in the Owen Hart Foundation women's tournament, where the Bunny was a participant in it, and she ended up taking on a new signee who is all elite, which I will get to. And in the main event, we had Andrade El Idolo versus Darby Allin. But overall, Dynamite tonight was an awesome show. Just really enjoyed tonight's Dynamite. But let's jump right into the review. Dynamite kicked off tonight with CM Punk versus Max Caster. And this was an enjoyable match. This was a good match here. Both Punk and Caster were good in the match. CM Punk ended up coming out first. Got a pop from the crowd as he made his way down to the ring. And then Max Caster ended up coming out, along with Anthony Bowens. Of course, they are the Acclaimed. And there's news that came out about Anthony Bowens. Apparently, Anthony Bowens is out of action because he has a knee injury. And this is coming from Ringside News. And it said that Anthony Bowens has not been seen on AEW television for a while, and there seems to be a very good reason for his long absence. Tony Khan was on Busted Up Radio, and Tony Khan revealed that Bowens has been out of action with a knee injury, and that he was supposed to return 2 weeks ago, but he has not been cleared as of yet. But, he still appeared tonight, but he has yet to be cleared to compete. So Tony Khan ended up saying this: I really like Anthony a great deal. He's been injured. We don't think it's anything too long term, but the truth is, he was supposed to be back by now, and that's jammed me up the last couple of weeks in planning. He's been out almost a month, and they originally thought it was going to be 2 weeks. It's been a few weeks. I've been looking forward to bringing him back. He's recovering from what is hopefully a short-term knee injury. Bowens last wrestled on Dynamite on March 9th, where he and Max Caster challenged the Jurassic Express for the AEW World Tag Team titles. And let's just see when Bowens will make his return in the ring. But, it's normal. But Bowens out of action, because of his knee injury. So he'll have time to heal up. But Max Caster, he ended up getting on the mic. He started making a Will Smith joke because, remember at the Oscars on Sunday, Will Smith ended up slapping Chris Rock after Chris Rock ended up making a joke about Will's wife, Jada Pinkett Smith, which at first I thought it was staged, but as time went on, as I kept watching the video over and over again, I'm like, you know what? This looked real. But at the same time, you had, after when Will Smith ended up slapping Chris Rock, he went off the stage and he had a smirk on his face. And then Will Smith was like, keep my wife's name out of your fucking mouth. So, and then, Max Caster did a joke about that. So he was claiming Punk's movies are what will put him to sleep. So that's what Max Caster did. A joke about Will Smith at the Oscars, slapping Chris Rock, and claiming Punk's movies are what will put him to sleep. So the match ended up starting. Both Punk and Caster end up locking up. Caster end up connecting with a knee strike to Punk. Punk end up just bringing Caster down to the mat. He began working on his injured shoulder. So Punk connected with a shoulder tackle to Caster and then went for a crossbody. But Caster ended up catching Punk in midair, dropped him down to his knee. Punk ended up getting launched in the corner by Caster. But Punk ended up coming back. He delivered a dive down from the top turnbuckle. He followed it up with an atomic drop to Caster. And then he delivered a suplex to Caster. Punk then ended up going for a knee to the corner to Caster, but he ended up missing. Caster then ended up heading up to the top rope. Punk ended up firing some chops at Caster. And Caster then nailed a Hurricanrana from the top rope to Punk. And Punk got back up. He ended up nailing the knee strike to Caster. He followed it up with a running bulldog. And then he went for the cover. Caster ended up kicking out. Caster ended up distracting the referee. Anthony Bowen started pulling on Punk's leg as he attempted a springboard. So he got hung up on the rope, Punk, and that led to Caster leaping from the top turnbuckle with a drop kick. So Caster ended up missing the mic drop, and that led to Punk end up hitting a tombstone, and he followed up with a Anaconda Vice, locked in on Caster. Caster ended up tapping out. So there you go. Punk ended up winning the match. Post-match, Tony Schiavone was in the ring with Punk. Schiavone ended up asking Punk, what alluded to the match when Punk did the title belt pose. So Punk ended up asking the fans what it means. Punk went on to say that he doesn't know who the champion will be. The champion could be either Adam Cole or Hangman Adam Page. Punk ended up saying that he does know that before his time in AEW was over, there will be more gray in his beard and that there will be more scars on his head. And he will be AEW World Champion. So that was what Punk had to say, but I wouldn't mind seeing Punk, face both guys. I wouldn't mind him facing Adam Cole or Hangman Adam Page. If he fought Adam Cole, that would be a very good match there. In my opinion, a dream match, with Punk and Cole. And be another good match with Punk and Hangman and Page. Although if Punk had to face Page, that's my prediction. If they go with that, Page would have to turn heel, and Punk could still be the babyface. So, but that's my prediction on if AEW, does that with Punk and Hangman and Page. That's my prediction. Cole could still be the heel, and Punk could still be the babyface if they book the match. Like I said, I wouldn't mind seeing both guys, face Punk, or Punk faces both guys. But overall, enjoyable match between Punk and Caster. And then we went backstage. MJF was with FTR. And Mark Sterling was putting pictures of Wardlow. These were flyers of Wardlow, which these flyers alerted for security because MJF wanted Wardlow banned from the arena. And the flyers were all over the barricade, on the hard cam side. So MJF ended up saying that he doesn't exist in this universe. but the Pinnacle does. You end up saying that they're going to get some wins, starting tonight with FTR. So Dax Harwood ended up saying that MJF's their friend, but Wardlow is their friend as well. So MJF ended up saying that they are his family. And MJF ended up telling FTR that Wardlow used to talk shit about them all the time. MJF ended up putting his hand out, and FTR ended up putting their hands out along with MJF, which FTR were agreeing with MJF. Pretty much that was basically that. But MJF just keeping Wardlow out of the arena, preventing him from coming in and from Wardlow getting his hands on MJF. And then we had Jay Lethal versus Jon Moxley. Good match here between these guys. So we had Jay Lethal end up making his way out first, and then Jon Moxley. So Jay Lethal extended his hand for Moxley to shake. Moxley ended up slapping Lethal's hand away. So Jay Lethal ended up trying to work on Moxley's arm. Moxley ended up just throwing Lethal out of the ring. And Moxley ended up sending a side headlock on Jay Lethal. Lethal ended up trying to counter the side headlock with the head scissors. So Moxley ended up sending Lethal once again out of the ring. Moxley ended up coming back in, ended up slapping Jay Lethal. Lethal ended up going back and forth with Moxley, and they were exchanging forearms. So Moxley then ended up hitting a suplex to Lethal and some punches in the corner. Both Moxley and Lethal ended up fighting on the top turnbuckle. Lethal ended up pushing Moxley away as he ended up heading up to the top rope. Lethal ended up following up with a dive to the outside, which sent Moxley flying into the barricade. And Lethal ended up following that up, hit another dive from the top, sending Moxley into the barricade. So Lethal ended up working on Moxley's leg. They ended up heading up to the top turnbuckle. And Moxley ended up delivering a superplex to Lethal. So then both guys ended up going back and forth with some strikes. Moxley ended up dropping Lethal with the lariat. Moxley ended up going for another lariat, but Lethal ended up reversing that with the Lethal combination. He ended up dropping Moxley down. So Lethal ended up going for the cover, which Moxley ended up kicking out. Moxley was looking to go for the paradigm shift, but Lethal ended up reversing that, and he ended up pinning a rolling elbow to Moxley. So we had Lethal end up getting out of the submission from Moxley, and Lethal followed up with a brainbuster. Lethal then ended up heading up to the top rope and nailed the elbow drop to Moxley. And Lethal ended up going for the cover. Moxley kicked out at 2. Lethal was looking to go for the figure 4. Moxley ended up reversing that and almost caught Lethal with a cradle. And then Moxley then ended up hitting the paradigm shift on Lethal. And he went for the cover. And there you go. Moxley ended up winning the match. Post-match, Moxley ended up extending his hand to Lethal. And Lethal ended up shaking Moxley's hand. So you had to have, both guys had to have respect for each other in this match. But overall, good match between Jay Lethal and Jon Moxley. So then we had a video package that was showcasing Marina Shafir and her matches on AEW Dark, so we saw that. And then we had FTR versus the Gunn Club, Austin and Colton Gunn. Austin and Colton, of course, came out along with their father, Billy Gunn. So before the match got underway, MJF ended up making his way out, and MJF was on commentary during the match, of course, because of his guys, FTR. So the match ended up starting with Dax Harwood working on Colton Gunn, and Austin Gunn ended up tagging in. He ended up bringing Dax Harwood down, and Austin Gunn started walking all over Dax's back. Cash Wheeler came in, and he got control of the match. He was doing some arm drags to Austin Gunn, and then he delivered a drop kick. FTR did a good double team exchange here. Austin Gunn ended up going out to the outside, and it led to them distracting the official as Billy Gunn ended up dropping Cash Wheeler with a right hand. So that led to both Austin and Colton working together to keep Cash Wheeler down. And once again, at this point in the match, they ended up distracting the referee, so Billy Gunn ended up getting in some shots on Cash Wheeler. So Cash ended up hitting a backdrop, and Colton ended up tagging in. He ended up stopping Cash Wheeler from tagging in Dax Harwood. So Austin came in, and that allowed Dax Harwood to come in. Dax ended up dropping both Austin and Colton with some right hands. Dax dropped Austin with the lariat. And then later on, we saw Wardlow. Wardlow was in the arena. So he was backstage, and he ended up making his way down to the ring, and he was going through security. He was beating down these security guys. He ended up putting one of the guys on a table that had popcorn on it, but I think the table didn't break. So Wardlow ended up making his way down through the stands, where the crowds are, and he was still going through security. He was still beating down security guys, trying to hold him off. So as Wardlow ended up getting to the ringside area, we had a number of security end up just preventing Wardlow from coming over the barricade. So it was too much for Wardlow to go through, to beat down on these security guys. So MJF was just yelling on commentary with Wardlow being there. So we went back to the ring. Harwood ended up getting held by Colton Gunn, which Dax ended up having to move, and he ended up pushing Austin Gunn into him, and he ended up going for a roll-up. Billy Gunn ended up getting on the apron, and Wheeler ended up knocking Billy Gunn off of the apron, and FTR ended up hitting the big rig on Austin. There you go. FTR ended up winning the match. Post-match, we had MJF end up celebrating with FTR. It led to some little tension between FTR and MJF. So they were shoving a little, and then, they end up making up. So, but that was that. Overall, good match between FTR and the Gunn Club. So then we had the Jericho Appreciation Society. They were backstage. Jericho ended up saying that they've been the revolutionary force in sports entertainment. And for the past 3 weeks, he's had everybody talking about him and wanting to be part of the JAS, the Jericho Appreciation Society. But Jericho's like, there's only 5 of us. And if you want to join the Jericho Appreciation Society, then GFY, meaning go fuck yourself. So then Daniel Garcia started mocking Santana Ortiz and Eddie Kingston. And they had two curtains on each side. So we had Angelo Parker. Angelo Parker ended up encouraging Matt Menard to take a peek at the curtain. So the curtain on one side, there was nobody behind the curtain. And so Jake Hager ended up checking the other curtain that was there. And as Hager opened the curtain, there was Santana Ortiz and Eddie Kingston. So it was a brawl between these guys backstage. And they went out into the arena. Eddie Kingston and Jericho were in the ring. Kingston ended up dropping Jericho with a spinning back fist. Santana Ortiz ended up taking down the rest of the JAS on the outside. You saw, I think it was Santana ended up having a chair. He threw a chair into the ring. So Jake Hager ended up returning into the ring. He started cleaning house on Eddie Kingston, Santana Ortiz. And that's when the Jericho Appreciation Society ended up taking control of the brawl. Jericho ended up getting a hold of Floyd, his bat, started beating down Santana Ortiz and Eddie Kingston with the bat. Jericho then ended up whipping Eddie Kingston with a leather strap. And then Jericho nailed the Judas effect to Eddie Kingston as the Jericho Appreciation Society ended up standing tall in the ring. And that was basically how the segment ended, but really crazy segment. Really liking the Jericho Appreciation Society and where they're taking this. Just very crazy this whole thing was. You can tell that Jericho and Kingston are not finished as of yet. So then we saw Tony Schiavone. Tony Schiavone was backstage with Jade Cargill and Mark Sterling. And Mark Sterling ended up telling Tony Schiavone that him and Cargill had two options for Cargill's 30th opponent. And they picked the most prestigious. And one opponent is the librarian, Leva Bates. So Jay Cargill wasn't happy about that. She was unhappy about the idea of the 30th being a joke win. Yeah, can you imagine? Jay Cargill would beat Leva Bates in what? 3 minutes. Yeah, Leva Bates, the one who always went shh, shh, when she was out there with Peter Avalon. Yeah, can you imagine that? Jay Cargill would beat her in 3 minutes. So we had Mark Sterling end up saying that to go with option 2. The second option is Marina Shafir. So Jay Cargill ended up saying that she'll fight her, and she's going to go take care of her baddie section, while Sterling sets it up. So pretty much that was basically that. It was funny how Cargill ended up telling Leva Bates to go away. I mean, who would want to see that match if it happened? Jay Cargill versus Leva Bates. I know I wouldn't. Like I said, that match would have been a 3-minute match. But I'd rather see Jade Cargill versus Marina Shafir. That would be a good match there, even though we all know Jade's going to win. Jade has been impressive, and she's undefeated, and she's about to be 30-0. Impressive streak that she's on. But rather see that, Cargill versus Marina Shafir than frickin' Jay Cargill versus Leva Bates. And then we had Bryan Danielson versus Wheeler Yuta. And this was a good match. Wheeler Yuta here was very good. And William Regal was out there. So William Regal was on commentary. Bryan ended up taking control of the match earlier on, and he was hitting forearm strikes to Yuta's chest. And Bryan was looking to go for some pinfall attempts. Yuta ended up blocking it with a bridge. Bryan ended up dropping Yuta with a shoulder tackle, started unloading some kicks. Yuta ended up charging out of the corner, delivered a drop kick to Bryan. Yuta ended up going for a drop from the top turnbuckle, and he ended up getting caught with a kick in midair from Bryan. Bryan then ended up hanging up Wheelie Yuta on the top rope, was just doing some kicks to Yuta, and he ended up dropping down with a knee to the back of Yuta's neck. So Wheelie Yuta ended up attempting to do some kicks to Bryan, but Bryan just ended up dropping him down with a kick of his own. Bryan ended up hitting huge chops to Yuta. Yuta came back and just fought back at Bryan, only for Bryan to take him back down with some more chops. So we had both Bryan and Wheelie Yuta, they were just going back and forth, delivering chops to each other. Bryan ended up hitting a rolling elbow strike to Yuta. So Yuta then ended up bouncing off the bottom rope, ended up hitting a German suplex to Bryan, which looked really cool. Bryan came back, delivered a dragon suplex to Yuta, and he ended up going for the cover. Yuta kicked out. So Bryan ended up hitting some elbow strikes to Yuta's head. Yuta ended up firing back with some of his own strikes to Bryan. But in the end, Bryan stomped away on Yuta. He ended up hitting a pile driver, and he ended up locking in the submission. And there you go. Bryan ended up winning the match. Overall, awesome match this was. Really enjoyed it. Yuta here was impressive, and Yuta didn't lose in 5 minutes. They actually gave Wheelie Yuta good timing here in this match with Bryan. So, but very good match. And then we had Adam Cole and Red Dragon, Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish. They ended up coming out. Adam Cole had the AEW World Championship, while Red Dragon carried the AEW World Tag Team Championship. And I gotta say, the titles looked great around them. I could picture them with the titles, when they win them. So they had the titles with their names written on tape. So Adam Cole ended up getting on the mic. He ended up saying that the actual champions are not here tonight because they weren't invited to the party. And they are ashamed they took the titles from them. So Adam Cole ended up saying that AEW needs a new era to take control. And Kyle O'Reilly ended up saying that he sees haters saying they don't have enough wins. Kyle O'Reilly ended up saying that they're wicked and everyone loves them. Bobby Fish then ended up getting on the mic, and Bobby Fish ended up saying that he will put their resume against anyone in the industry. And he ended up saying that they are the 3 baddest dudes in the company. So Adam Cole ended up saying that celebration goes all week long. And, at point there was a box in the ring, and they ended up opening the box, and gold balloons ended up flying out of the box. So Hangman and Page end up arriving in a Tesla, and on the front of the Tesla were horns struck out on the Tesla, reminding me of JBL's limo with the horns on the front of it. So Hangman Page ended up charging his way down to the ring. He started brawling with Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, and Bobby Fish. Paige ended up taking down Kyle O'Reilly, Bobby Fish, and he then ended up launching Adam Cole across the ring. Paige was ready to go for the buckshot lariat on Adam Cole, but O'Reilly and Fish end up pulling Adam Cole out of the ring. So Cole and Fish and O'Reilly were trying to escape from Paige, and the Jurassic Express and Christian Cage end up coming out. And Jurassic Express and Christian end up brawling with Cole, O'Reilly, and Fish. And then Adam Cole ended up getting dumped to the outside. And we had Paige and the Jurassic Express end up taking their titles back. And pretty much that was basically that. But we're going to get a match with Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy, maybe Christian Cage, versus Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, Bobby Fish. So that should be pretty good there. Although, like I said, I liked the titles around Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, and Bobby Fish. But they looked pretty cool wearing them. But really enjoyed this segment. And then we had Thunder Rosa coming out. Tony Schiavone ended up introducing her. Thunder Rosa got on the mic. She ended up saying that it is a shame her accomplishments were cut short. Well, she is the AEW Women's World Champion and the first Mexican woman to do that. So Thunder Rosa ended up saying that she fought her way to be the face of this division, but she doesn't want to just be the face. She wants to be the face of all women's wrestling. So she ended up saying that she thinks there is always bullies who want to pull her down. Thunder Rosa ended up saying that pillars get knocked down, but foundations remain. And she will be that. She ended up saying that she is ready. So Thunder Rosa ended up telling Nyla Rose to use her words. Or does she need Vicky Guerrero to dumb it down? She ended up saying that she wants to wrestle the best in the world. And she will defend it. So that was what Thunder Rosa had to say. But Thunder Rosa versus Nyla Rose. Why is it every time that a new woman wins the AEW World Championship, Nyla Rose is always front and center to get a shot for it? Why? So, we're going to be seeing that match anyways. So then we had FTR. FTR was backstage. They ended up saying that the Ass Boys say they take things too seriously. And maybe they do. But they're making history with the AAA titles. They ended up saying that they're going to win the ROH Tag Team titles on Friday. And then they're going to get the AEW World Tag Team titles back. Dax ended up saying that he loves pro wrestling too much to ever take second place. And that he's issuing the challenge to the Young Bucks for another match to determine the greatest tag team of all time. So there you go. FTR is going to be competing at Ring of Honor, Supercard of Honor on Friday. They're going to be facing Jay and Mark, the Briscoe brothers, for the ROH World Tag Team titles. So that's taking place on Friday from Garland, Texas, at the Curtis Colwell Center. So it's going to be the first new Ring of Honor event under Tony Khan, because Tony Khan ended up purchasing Ring of Honor. So that's on Friday. I mean, we got SmackDown on Friday, the Hall of Fame, Rampage, and Supercard of Honor. So it's going to be a packed Friday, this week. And then we had the first match in the Owen Hart Foundation Women's Tournament. This is a qualifying match. And we had the Bunny end up taking on a new signee or mystery opponent. And that mystery opponent was none other than Toni Storm. Toni Storm ended up making her Dynamite debut tonight, and it was awesome. Toni Storm looked so happy to be there. I mean, last time we saw Toni Storm, she was in a feud with Charlotte, and it was based off of cream pies. Yeah, like I want to forget that. I want to forget all that, because all that feud was when Toni Storm was still signed with WWE on SmackDown, when she was on SmackDown and she was facing Charlotte, it was all on pies. Well, I can certainly say to Toni Storm, there's no pies being thrown at you here in AEW. There will be none. So Toni Storm ended up coming out, got a pop from the crowd, and Toni Storm ended up starting off the match. She delivered a forearm to the Bunny, and she was still throwing hands, and the Bunny ended up coming back and delivered a slap to Toni Storm. So we had the Bunny end up connecting with a knee strike to Toni Storm, which sent Toni Storm outside of the ring. The Bunny ended up charging in with a lariat, and then she ended up sending Toni Storm headfirst into the ring post, and she ended up sliding Toni Storm back into the ring. The Bunny then delivered a sliding elbow strike. Toni Storm ended up reversing it with a backslide, and the Bunny then ended up hitting a clothesline to Toni Storm. Toni Storm here in the match, she was good, and she's a good wrestler. So the Bunny ended up driving Toni Storm into the turnbuckle, and she had pinned a running knee. Later on, we had the Bunny end up doing a Death Valley driver onto Toni Storm, and then the Bunny ended up nailing two big thrust kicks, and Toni Storm ended up managing to kick out. Toni Storm then ended up hitting the German suplex to the Bunny, and then Storm Zero. So Toni Storm went for the cover, and there you go. Toni Storm ended up winning the match, moving on in the Owen Hart Foundation Women's Tournament. So this was an awesome debut for Toni Storm on Dynamite here in AEW. Glad that Toni Storm is all elite. She came out, like I said, she looked happy to be there. And let's see where this journey for Toni Storm, goes. So, but really happy to see Toni Storm. I thought that originally that it was going to be Athena, aka Amber Moon, facing the Bunny. That's what I was thinking. But I was like, all right, it's either got to be Athena or Toni Storm. And I was expecting Athena, but it was Toni Storm who came out. So I was very happy about that. But Toni Storm, they're going to treat her well here. Much better than what WWE did with Toni Storm when she was brought up to the main roster. On NXT, she was good, because she was under, still with Triple H, when Triple H was behind NXT in the black and gold. Boy, how do we miss that? How do we miss the black and gold days of NXT? And then you have NXT 2.0 now, where it's just all colorful, and it's under Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard, where you have Dolph Ziggler as the NXT champion. But Toni Storm, we'll like to see where AEW takes Toni Storm and builds her. But Toni Storm's moving on in the Owen Hart Foundation Women's Tournament. But it was a good match. It was a good debut for Toni Storm. And then we have Vicky Guerrero backstage. Vicky Guerrero ended up saying that Thunder Rosa fears Nyla. So Nyla Rose ended up claiming that she is the foundation, and she refuses to be a footnote. Nyla Rose ended up going to say that she will cement her legacy in Thunder Rosa's blood, and she will be a genie. So Nyla Rosa was like, abracadabra, bitch. So that was pretty much basically what Nyla Rose had to say. Main event, Andrade El Idolo versus Darby Allin. Andrade ended up coming out along with his assistant Jose, while of course Darby Allin ended up coming out along with Sting. So Sting ended up going to the back. He ended up leaving Darby Allin to do the match on his own. So Darby Allin rode down on his skateboard, down the ramp to the ring. So Andrade launched himself out of the ring. He flipped out of the ring and took out Darby Allin, which that looked awesome. How just Andrade got out, just launched himself out of the ring and, did the spin onto Darby Allin. So Andrade ended up picking up Darby Allin. He delivered a fireman's carry. He ended up dropping Darby Allin into the timekeeper's table, to which Andrade ended up delivering another fireman's carry, which ended up putting Darby into the apron. So we had Darby Allin end up opting to use a skateboard as a weapon. So Darby ended up attacking Andrade with the skateboard. Andrade powered up Darby Allin and dropped him onto the guardrail. And Andrade ended up grabbing Darby Allin. He threw Darby Allin onto the ring stairs, which the ring stairs were pointing upwards. They were like that. So Darby ended up bouncing off of the steps. So Darby got back into the ring, and he ended up grabbing Bryce Remsburg, who was the referee. And he ended up telling Bryce that he wants to fight. He still wants to fight Andrade. So the match ends up starting. Andrade then ended up turning Darby inside out into the turnbuckles. He then hit the running knees into the corner. Andrade continued to dominate in the match. He kept control. So Andrade ended up launching himself backwards, to which Darby ended up landing on his feet. So we had Andrade kicked out of the Code Red because Darby ended up hitting it. So Andrade ended up delivering a boot in the corner to Darby Allin as he ended up kicking him down. So Andrade ended up trying to use his belt, but Bryce Remsburg ended up taking away the belt. And so while that happens, Darby Allin ended up using his own belt. So he used his own belt to trip Andrade, and he sent Andrade face first into the turnbuckle. So Darby Allin then connected with a stunner, and Andrade came back, nailed a backbreaker to Darby Allin. So Darby Allin was on the top turnbuckle. He ended up pinning the crucifix onto Andrade, and he was looking to go for the submission on Andrade, but Jose ended up coming down. And Sting ended up appearing behind him, and Sting ended up attacking Jose. And then the Butcher and the Blade ended up attacking Sting. So Darby Allin ended up seeing that. Darby Allin ended up climbing up to the top. He jumped off the top and took out the Butcher and the Blade. So Darby Allin got back into the ring. He was looking to go for an attack by springboarding himself backwards, but Andrade ended up catching him. Andrade then ended up hitting the buckle bomb, and then he ended up hitting the El Idolo, and there you go. Andrade ended up winning the match, which was the right move. Andrade needed the win. So post-match, we had Andrade, the Butcher and the Blade, end up attacking Sting and Darby Allin. And then the Hardy Boys, Matt and Jeff, end up coming out. They came out, they had chairs in hand, and they were just taking out Butcher and the Blade, and also Andrade, and there was also a table that was set up in there, but it was just on the canvas. But overall, this was a good main event. Really enjoyed the match with Andrade and Darby Allin. Of course, Andrade winning, it was the right move. Like I said, Andrade needed the win. But overall, this was a good Dynamite tonight. Very enjoyable show. So, anyways, that's it for my review of tonight's Dynamite. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review. Definitely give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, and there will be no SmackDown or AEW Rampage review this Friday. Gonna take a break. But anyways, until next video, I'll see you all later.